Well, good evening, guys. How you doing? Look at all the chats already, and I was waiting till you got here, Paul, so we could start. So I'm glad you got here in time. A minute to spare, so I was able to start the show. Audio. You're not hearing me? Does anybody hear me? According to my mixer, I have audio. No sound. Okay. Chris Hope says loud and clear. Tomas says Maya. Now there you go. That is quite a coincidence that two people tell me they don't have any sound, and neither one of them is my fault. If I didn't know any better, I would think you guys were pranking me. You know what I mean? But that's par for the course. So I hope you guys all get it straightened out on your end. Yeah, that would have been strange because my mixer, the little things are moving up and down, and the mic on the StreamYard thing was moving, it was showing me. So, all right, good deal, good deal. So, how's everybody doing? Jody, you're usually the first one here, and how you doing? That TPU that I've been using is I don't even remember the names of these things offhand, but it was called Priline, Prile. Stuff works great. I just actually it's just printing some stuff with that, and all I got is the red stuff. But right here on the little spinner for the antenna to tighten it up is a little red TPU piece. Can you see that there? Yeah. I just got done printing a few of them up. So little 9-minute print. So I printed about a half a dozen of them, but that's a handy little thing. Helps you make sure your antenna's tight. Gives you a pretty good feel for it. Let's see what's going on here. Joe's RC Corner. How you doing, Joe? Good to see you again, my friend. I guess you saw my little binary adventure that I put up there. And no matter how ready you think you are, or how much you've studied about something, when the reality hits, it comes, you realize you missed something. And what happened with me was I'm brand new. I'm brand new to iNav, and iNav is like Betaflight, but there are some big differences when it comes to fixed wing stuff where you're actually using servos. And what had happened was I thought that when you were in the what they call manual mode, or what they used to call pass-through modes, I thought that the iNav settings were just totally and completely out of it, but they're not. So any weight adjustments that you have on the servos actually still comes through. And what I ended up with was, even though I had thrown some dual rates, and I had used the transmitter for that. I had put an exponential curve in there and used the transmitter for that. Turns out all that was mistakes. Not to do anything to what comes out of the transmitter, but to do it all in the flight controller. And I ended up in a situation where no matter when I cranked my trim tabs, I really got almost no movement on the elevator. So what felt like me having to hold a tremendous amount of up elevator really turned out to be just a tiny little bit of up elevator, because I just wasn't getting much control surface movement based on the sticks. And I thought, based on my years of flying experience, whenever you're holding that kind of up in there, you got a terribly nose heavy airplane. And as it turns out, it wasn't the case at all. It was balanced right on the money. I found out where I need to adjust this stuff. I also learned, for any of you who know iNav, I learned an awful lot about where to go in and adjust the amount of throws you're going to get when the flight controller is doing it versus the amount of throws. Anyway, there's a lot of settings that I hadn't really delved into. So live and learn, and hopefully I'll take that thing out again tomorrow and fly it again. Josie, how you doing? Peter Carroll, good to see you. Paul, Phantom Hodge, Chris, how you doing? Anybody want to come in and keep me company here? It's wide open. Let me know. Got room for 5. I'll settle for 1 right now. So that tip, always do a maiden flight with no controllers installed. Yeah, Joe, you know, you're right about that. But the way I had the thing all wired up, of course, all the servos plug into the flight controller with iNav. And I was just under the impression that when it said pass through, and I think that might be the reason they did away with the term pass through, because it really isn't passing through. It's basically just turning off the any of the stabilized modes or anything like that, and giving you manual control over the control surfaces. But I learned, and iNav, you know, it's not all that simple. I had thought about trying one of the Eagle Tree vectors. I think the setup on that might be a little more straightforward. I don't know. And then Arduplane is a whole nother. There's just so many ways to go about it. But I'm coming to terms with iNav, and I think we'll see how all the different modes work out. Lloyd Mendenhall, the grumpy vlogger. How you doing? Good to see you. How's the political campaign going? And this little intro thing that I was showing on the countdown was I had a chance to run out today for just a few minutes and grab a quick flight, and I took this thing, which I hadn't really ever flown. I built it. It's a Tyro 129, big 7-inch quad. It has GPS in it. It had, and I mounted the RunCam 5, which is like a GoPro. It's $100. It's not as good as the GoPro, but not bad. And I managed to get a flight in. But I had the throttle. These are things, again, that you just learn as you go, and I'm still relatively new. The throttle was way too touchy at the bottom end, that I had to go, and so I figured, well, you know, I fly one flight, but I didn't want to get too used to that, so I went home and changed the midpoint setting on the beta flight, and hopefully fix that. But that particular little flight, I will play for you here. The what came out of the RunCam, and let's see here. Let me switch you over. There we go, and get it started. So anyway, that's the RunCam 5. That GoPro looking thing that's setting up there, and for $100 camera, does a pretty nice job. It's very strange how you change settings in it, though. You have an app on your cell phone, and it creates a QR code, which you then hold up to the camera, and the camera looks at it and blinks and says, "Okay, gotcha." But again, this is was really the first flight that I put on this quad. I think I built it 3-4 months ago, but with all these other projects, I never got around. I never got around to flying the thing, and I just said, you know, I ought to just try it. And one of the reasons that that I took it out today to fly it was I got when I bought it for $129. I went ahead and bought two of them. So I got this other one here. Can you see it? It's brand new. It's still in the package. And I've been wanting to somebody asked me a question. RD, how do you like your seven? Well, I think the 7 inches, they fly smoother. I imagine you can whip them around if you want, but you know, for me, old guy like I am, I like flying smooth, and I see a little jello there in the that I was kind of slowing down, but I like I like to fly big and smooth, and the 7 inches are a little more stable and don't react quite as quickly. So I'm kind of happy with it. I've got one other. I just got one. That's why I'm asking you. What'd you get, RD? Which one did you get? You can tell me in the chat. Anyway, yeah, I was just flying around with the thing, and I really enjoyed it. And it dawned on me as I was flying this thing today that wouldn't it be cool to take a drone, an FPV drone, and put iNav on it instead of Betaflight. And with iNav, you can do most of the things that the Mavic will do. You can return to home and land, you know, just hover in one place, fly waypoints, do all kinds of neat things. But the coolest thing about it is, you know, being able to just throw it into position hold mode and let go of everything, and have it just sit there if you want, and maybe use that to take some pictures. But then on the other hand, you can throw the thing into acro mode and go out and then just fly like this. So you got the best of both worlds. It may not be as good as a stabilized camera drone, but I do think that you know, it's a challenge, and it's just something else to try to make work. So I had this other kit, but one of the interesting things about using iNav, here comes the world's worst landing, I think. Boom. Yeah, that's something I still got to get used to. When you go to land these things, you know, you got to point the camera right up in the air. I think coming up next is going to be what I saw through the goggle. Yeah, this is the same flight that just the goggle recording of it, and it wasn't bad. You know, it wasn't as anywhere as good as the DJI high def stuff, but certainly very flyable. And I hadn't been flying much analog since I got the DJI stuff, so this was one of the first analog flights I'd flown in about a month. And it's really not too bad. You'll see in the goggles, but not as good as the DJI stuff. So at any rate, what I was saying was, well, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the iNav needs a barometer on the flight controller board. And most flight controllers, it seems, don't have barometers on them. And it needs the barometer so that it can, I know the Mavics have them, and they need it for altitude measurements. You have the altitude measurements from GPS, but that's nowhere near as accurate as a barometer. So I know that in my Marmot, I have that Kakute F7 controller board, and it has a barometer in it, which I'm not using for anything in that particular drone, because unless you're you're running iNav that needs a barometer to do its auto landings and all those other things, you don't have any use for it. And I don't want to. I didn't want to tear apart. I wanted to build a drone with iNav, but I didn't want to tear apart that drone. It's got the HD DJI thing in it. It flies great. I just put new motors on it. I don't want to touch that. So I went looking at all the different drones and flight controller boards that I have. And it seems that to buy a board with a barometer in it, the flight controller stacks that I've seen, are 80, 90, 100, 110, 115, $20. They cost as much as this whole drone that I'm flying here today. So when I got home, I took this the little flight controller. There it is. Took this little flight controller board out of the box, and I said, well, let's see if I can flash if it'll actually even take iNav to start with. So and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to plug that little board into my computer. I hope this doesn't get too technical for some of you guys, but that's since I have nobody in here keeping me company, I got to talk about something. Anyway, so we got the flight controller in, and now what I'm going to try to do is fire up iNav over here on the other screen. Any day. I had flashed this controller board earlier. Okay, it's coming. So let's go over to that screen. Why is iNav not opening up for me? There it comes. Boy, it takes a while to think about it. And then, so what I got here is I got the thing opened up in iNavs, and I connected to it. Because I flashed the iNav software on here. And I look up at the top here on the iNav, and it says I've got gyro, I've got an accelerometer, and I have a barometer. This cheap-ass controller board that they package with the cheap-ass Tyro 129 has a barometer in it. And turns out it's a Maytech F405, which is a tremendous board. It's a beautifully made board. It's got the SD card for the black box logs. It's got 6 different UARTs. It's got basically everything that you'd want, and I can't imagine that it wouldn't be reliable. And Banggood sells these things for $20. Now that's not a whole stack. It doesn't have the it doesn't have the oh, I see Ed's there. I'll be right with you, Ed. It doesn't have the for $20 that's the controller part, and I think it's $26 for the ESCs. But unbelievable, the stupid thing. So when I saw that it has the barometer, I went and said, well, I'm going to build that other Tyro 129 with iNav and try to make it do like a Mavic does. And with that, we'll see what happens, because I think it'd be an awful lot of fun to have a 7-inch drone with a decent camera on it that I can fly in the stabilized mode with altitude hold, with position hold, and do all that kind of stuff, and then just turn all that off and have a regular drone in acro mode that I can rip around with, and with GPS and full return to home and full navigation and waypoints and everything else. So I think that'd be kind of fun. So let's see. We got Ed here. Love my drones in the green room. And how you doing, man?
Look, man, I just watched your maiden flight of your new build. And when you were putting that battery in that thing, I'm like, man, that bird is going to be nose heavy.
Well, turns out it wasn't nose heavy. You missed the first part of my explanation today. Turns out it wasn't nose heavy. I didn't have enough. I didn't because of something I hadn't set up correctly in iNav. Even in the manual mode, I did not have enough up elevator to trim it.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, let me ask you this question then. Should you have to have up elevator for it to fly level?
No, no, you shouldn't.
That's why I say it's nose
Yeah,
heavy.
but it turns out that I didn't need much. But
Okay.
even with half of the throw of the stick, I had so much expo cranked into it that I hardly got any movement at all on the first half of the control stick. So what felt like an airplane stuck to the ground. You know how sometimes a nose heavy airplane
Yep.
you can't rotate it. Well, it's what it felt like, and it was wet grass too, which was dragging on the wheels. And when I finally yanked that stick back, it popped up off the ground, and I had to hold about half up stick to keep the nose up. But turns out that was just the tiniest little bit of up elevator, and
Ah.
also another thing I didn't realize, because it's a brand new radio, and I have never flown an airplane using the OpenTX software, only drones. All my airplanes I have on Spectrums, and I'm used to the way they work and the way the trims work and everything else. Turns out in OpenTX, you have some settings for the trims that you have to deal with. You can set fine, normal, or coarse, how much trim per step. And the biggest one is whether to unlimit the range of the trims. In other words, do you just get to a point where you won't let it trim anymore, or do you let it keep going until you get full up elevator with the trim?
I got you. Now, a lot of that makes sense, but what really rang my bell was when you said that you had a lot of expo on the elevator.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that I had put a little, and I made one of the cardinal mistakes of setting up iNav in an airplane, and that is to do anything at all in the radio. In other words, the radio, iNav should see the radio as a straight, linear, 100% weighted signal that moves the bars on the receiver tab from minimum to minus. Any of the other adjustments of how that translates into servo movement needs to be done in iNav itself. And I didn't do that. I figured, well, they used to call a pass-through mode. That means that iNav has nothing to do with it. Well, wrong. That wasn't. The good news is, it wasn't. I mean, wasn't difficult to fly. The airplane actually flew pretty good. You saw it flew. I was just holding that up,
Great.
just holding that up stick, and even in the landing, I managed to slow it down, but no problem. And that's when But when I got this camera up on my head, the GoPro, and I'm photographing this and trying to make it interesting for people that are viewing it, at the same time as I wouldn't say I was panicked, but I was mildly concerned about having something wrong with the airplane. And but the good news is it's an airplane, and when it comes to, even though I haven't flown airplanes a lot in the past 10 years, it's like riding a bicycle for me. I don't have to think about it. I just react. I was always the guy at the club field that was the instructor, and also the guy, when anybody got in trouble, they would scream as their airplane was spiraling down behind the trees, and they'd throw me the transmitter, and I would save it. I was that guy, so.
Hey, thumbs up for that, brother.
Yeah.
I've been saved a few times with just quad.
Yeah, well, I that's why I'm liking the idea. Now, the downside of putting the iNav in the quad is that it's not as snappy a thing. You're not going to be doing Mr. Steel kind of flying with iNav. It's not designed to be that tight. They say it's a little looser, but for the kind of flying I do, it probably would better suit me. And they keep improving iNav and adding the different filtering and tuning features that Betaflight has. They're doing a lot of work on it. So it's going to be an interesting outcome, because it will be really nice to have a few switches on the radio that put the thing into altitude hold, position hold, automatic return to home, automatic with auto land where it lands like the Mavics do. It doesn't have any radar or sensors or anything, but it does have a barometer, so it knows its altitude, and you set your final rated descent slow enough where it just lands. And I think for somebody that is learning acro, and it's not second nature yet, that having those features would be a good safety, a good confidence builder, knowing that, wow, worst comes to worst, I just throw a switch, and the damn thing just
I'm with
locks.
you there on the throwing the switch, and all of a sudden the thing, even if it's not a return to home, even if it just sits there.
Yeah, just all of a sudden it's upside down, falling, and all of a sudden it just flips right. The throttles come up to hover, and it sits there like a Mavic. And then you can decide, well, what do I want to do now? You don't have to worry.
Right, exactly. A minute to catch your breath, so to speak.
Hey, we got a surprise here. Why don't you I think the single busiest guy on live stream YouTube, the man who shows up in more places than any man should, is here with me right now. So let's welcome.
Hey, Mitch. Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Lloyd.
What an introduction, man.
Well, I gotta have an intro for you guys. I got, with Art, I got the silly music. So
right, yeah. I do end up in a lot of live streams, don't I? So.
Man, I'll tell you, it's like over the weekend, especially Sunday, Monday.
Weekends are my busiest time because, I help Greg over on Oz by Drone on Thursday nights or Friday nights, and sometimes I have to fill in because his co-host doesn't show up or he needs a guest, and stuff like that. And let me switch over here to this one. There we go. All right, get back to my close-up now. Anyways, but so I'm doing that on Friday nights. Saturdays, if there's nothing going on, I just kind of kick back and relax. Then Sundays, I do art show during the daytime. I do mails at night, and I'm getting ready for mine on Monday. So I'm kind of busy on the weekend.
That's what I said. Everywhere I turn. But that's good. And the really good news is that that you're getting, they're paying you commensurate with the effort that you're putting into this.
Well, it helps. It helps out. They're paying me for. Well, they get what they pay for, right?
Same thing with me. Same thing with me. RD asked me if I use bi-blades on the 7-inch. No, I use the regular 3-bladed props on.
Okay,
these I think these are the Gem fans. They're nice props. They come with the Tyro.
I gotta adjust my green.
So let me see. Let me take a second here. I know that a lot of chats have been going by, and I haven't been paying any attention as usual. But we got Craig, Mad Kiwi is here. How you doing, my friend? And Ed, we know you're here. Metro Drones, hi. How are you? Happy Thursday from Michigan. Yeah, happy Thursday from Florida. It was like 70. It was in the low 70s. It was gorgeous today.
It was beautiful.
It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. So, but I went down there to this park in Palm Bay to fly, and they were burning something somewhere near there, so it was a little smoky, but not bad after all. Let's see who else we got here. To do RD Metro Phantom. I think that takes that I've said hi to everybody. If I missed you, oh Gary, I saw Gary in there. How you doing, Gary? From Brand Aerials. Yeah, 7C here in Canada. I went over to a cigar shop in the neighborhood the other night, last night. Sometimes I like to go over there and just sit with the guys in the cigar lounge because I'm by myself most of the time. and sit and smoke a cigar. And the guy who owns the shop is a Canadian guy, and he knows nothing about drones. And interestingly enough, he said they must not publicize this stuff up there. I mean, he's a guy about my age who's pretty worldly and knows, reads the newspaper and everything. But he says, yeah, in Canada, we don't have any drone regulations, he says. I said,
Yeah.
I don't think so. As a matter of fact, you got more regulations than we have here in the
Yep.
States. He says, well, it's about time because all you ever heard about was people complaining about people with drones spying on them. I mean,
Yeah.
I said, what are you talking about? That's all you hear about every day. That's all you hear. People are complaining. These people were spying with their drones, spying with, and how do, I didn't realize there was, I mean, it was a shock to me to talk to somebody who is not in our community to see what the average public, what kind of crap they get fed on
Yeah.
a daily basis out there. It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
shock. It was a shock. I said,
And what's ridiculous to me is the amount of misinformation out there and the dronophobia, because they think drone and they think spying, and yes, the military and the government has drones that can absolutely spy on you. But if you watch any drone videos of most anybody that puts out there, you're like, oh yeah, I can see a person down there. I can't tell whether it's male or female or whatever, but
honest to God. So, but I mean, it was. I bring that up because it was just surprising. Because you know, we talk to each other and we're somewhat knowledgeable. Even and interestingly enough, even the guys in the RC club that I'm in know nothing about the UAV rules. They know they have to register their model airplanes. They, as a hobbyist, they spend $5, get their number, and stick the same number on every plane, just like we droners do. But they seem to think that their airplanes are not subject to the same rules as drones, and they don't seem to realize that in the FAA Reauthorization Act this year, the AMA did not get their exemption. So a model airplane is a UAV, and as far as I told them at one of the club meetings, I said, you know, you guys don't realize it or not, but you're subject to a 400-foot ceiling. Yeah. Well, that's only in controlled airspace. I said, that's not the way the drone regulations read. The drone regulations say 400 feet, period. Yeah. Well, we can't do that. I said, well, you know, we're not going to do that. I said, well, you know, don't shoot the messenger here, guys. Well, you don't know what you're talking. The guy said, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, I think I told this story. The guy comes and says, I'm a private pilot and I know everything about that.
Yeah, those are, you know, unfortunately, those are the ones that end up making it bad for everybody else. You know, is they go around AMA. You know, we have our own set of rules, and we don't have to abide by the FAA rules because we help set them up. We know what they all are, but the problem is they don't know what they are. You know,
they left them out of the last meeting.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened. They had a meeting. They had all of the commercial drone interest people there and all the lobbyists for the commercial drone interest. And for some reason, the AMA was unrepresented at that meeting.
Well, yeah. And I said this here, I don't know if it's on my show Monday or when it was a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about, you know, the problem is I think it was on my show Monday. We're talking and was talking about different drone rules and stuff. And the AMA would just assume we didn't exist. They would, you know, and when they have a meet, you know, they have these big fly-ins and they have all their big aircraft and all this stuff.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with me. They don't want me in it. They don't want me around.
Yeah, I said, you got a drone? You see that little corner right
Yeah.
down there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where you go fly.
See
Yeah.
where they fly the gliders and the helicopters, where you're out of the way of everybody else. The place
Yeah.
where they have no tents, no cover, they have no porta johns, and you're pitting in the dirt. That place right over
And
there is
I
where
will
you
bet
go, is
you-
where you go.
I will bet you there's more money generated by drone pilots than will ever be generated by the AMA pilots, the fixed wing pilots.
Well,
I mean, as far as what, because most drone pilots, well, the Part 107, they're doing that because they're trying to make a living at it, or at least, what do you get out of a fixed wing? You can fly around and look pretty for YouTube.
it's fun.
Yeah, well, it's fun.
Speaking of flying, there's somebody in the green room that's desperately trying to get my attention, doing everything short of taking his clothes off, which is probably a good thing. At any rate, I'll give you a clue who it is. Any guesses?
It's got to be Art.
Hi, Art.
Yeah. Hey, Art.
Hey, Ed, Lloyd, Mitch.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I may have cracked a rib a couple hours ago.
Is your Robo Master chasing you all over the house?
No, I was getting the mail over at my apartment on my way back to my apartment. So I walk around in front of the car, and there's a step, and evidently my toe just caught the top of that step, and I fell and I landed. Now I don't know if you can see that, but I got
You skinned your knuckle.
I landed right on my hand, between my hand and the concrete there.
Well, you're lucky you didn't break your wrist.
No, yeah. So
I don't know if you can see this or not. I don't know if it shows up or not.
oh, you got a little dimple there, a little scar.
No, I got a. I got a scar that goes from here.
Yeah.
It's this long. Yeah, it goes all. I broke my wrist in a fall. Fell off a ladder. Fell backwards and like this on my hand, and shattered it. I got steel pins in there and everything. You don't want to do that. And then the physical therapy you got to go through. Unbelievable. So you're lucky. You're lucky.
My dad was a house painter, and one day he fell off the ladder, but luckily he landed on some bushes. But
it is lucky. You just get scratched up. But I'm getting too old to be falling off of ladders.
I heard that.
And interestingly enough, it was the ladder. The ladder was defective, and it was a lightweight aluminum ladder.
Oh, boy.
And it was the way I fell. It all bent up, and I immediately thought, "Oh, I'm going to own this ladder company." But after trying to call 10 different lawyers, and none of them would take the case on a contingency. They'd all take the case for $500 an hour, but none of them would take it on a contingency. I said, why not? You're talking about the largest manufacturer of ladders in the country. There's clearly a defective design in this product.
Right.
And they said, yeah, well, we agree with all that, but this company has a reputation for vigorously defending any and all complaints. And we're, basically without actually telling me what prostitutes these ambulance chasing whores are, they basically said, we might have to spend some money if we take this case on. And if we can't just write a letter and get them to throw money at us without actually having to do any work, we're not interested.
Right.
And that's and I knew that was the case, but that's the case with these slip and fall guys.
To one of the local TV stations that has a how they do product safety.
Oh yeah, we got one here.
Yeah.
We got Channel 9, Todd Ulrich.
Yeah.
I know the guy, but that's not going to get me any money. I mean, I'm not interested in getting even with the ladder company. I could care about that. I want a settlement. I'm not a hypocrite. I'll tell you exactly.
Mhm.
You know, when I see these guys on TV, you know, somebody called me a dirty name, and
Yeah.
Joe, you know, Joe the attorney got me $8 billion. Thank you,
Yeah.
Joe. If I ever get called a dirty name again, I will definitely call you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You do
And
that so well,
Oh, I
Edge.
but that's you know,
It's, you're right. That's
yeah. There's a comedian who actually committed suicide a number of
oh,
years ago named Richard Jenny.
yes, I've worked with him. I know him.
Okay, he was one
Yeah.
of the most brilliant
Yes.
comedians
Yep.
that ever lived. I have all of his stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he does a routine about late night television ads,
Yeah.
and he does the diet guy. You know, the guy
Uh-huh.
who he's Vinny from New York. The guy has a Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
He says for $1, he says, you send me $1, I'll send you a piece of scotch tape. You stick it over your fat mouth, you fat bastard. And
Yeah.
and then he does the lawyer ad, and that's the best one. And the name
Yeah.
of the lawyer that he uses is Marvin Ganeff. Now, you got to be Jewish to appreciate that. Ganeff is a Yiddish word for thief
Oh.
or crook.
Yeah.
Well,
The,
so
the
Marvin,
key word about that, and I've always thought lawyers were thieves,
Mhm.
but what you want them to do is to steal from the people you're suing, not steal from you.
yeah, well, but I'm not a hypocrite, I mean, yeah, I don't care. It's they go after the insurance companies. But if the person you're suing does not have insurance, or there's no big insurance company, they're not going to take the case.
Yeah.
They have a formula, and I know their formula as well as they do, because when I was in the computer business, I had a lot of these guys as my clients, and I set up their computer systems, and I set up their accounting systems, and I know exactly how the back rooms in those places work. But
Yep.
which is why I really didn't expect to get one of them to throw in with me on the ladder deal. So I put the
Yeah.
ladder I put the ladder away, and moved on with my life. My
Yeah.
wrist healed up,
Yeah.
and that's that. So,
Mhm.
but if you ever get a chance to find this Richard Jenny routine, I think it was an HBO deal. I think it was
Right.
called A Boy from Brooklyn,
Uh-huh.
something like that.
Yep.
The lawyer ad that he does on there is
Yeah.
priceless. And when I watch these lawyers ads on TV, which every morning, that's all you see on the morning news
Yeah.
is the lawyer ads,
Mhm.
they are exactly like Richard Jenny's
Mhm.
comedy routine.
Yep. Yep. Oh, there are some guys here in Denver. They're just you just chuckle when you see their ads, and they always have these cute nicknames like Frank the Strong Arm Azar, or
Oh no.
Brian Bulldog Moore.
Yeah, that doesn't work here anymore. There was some guys, new attorneys that came on and started advertising.
Yeah.
And they came on initially with this tough guy.
Mhm.
They came on there with, all blown up, and you know, we'll show them, nobody pushes us around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that didn't work too good. Now the same guy's coming on with a big smile going, "We'd be honored to represent you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Honored. Now they're just honored. We're honored.
Yeah.
We're so honored to
Or,
represent you.
or there's this guy, Jeffrey Gullinson. He always says, "Tell us your story."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's his shtick, and he always has these people that are just comical because you can tell that most of them are reading right off the cue cards,
Oh,
and
the testimonials.
$300,000.
The same words. We got a guy. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want these guys coming after me. But we got a guy here in town that former deputy former police officer. A lot of them use that thing. Former police officer.
Yep.
And he has the testimonials where they say how much money he recovered. I mean, a lot of lawyers don't do that. It used to be you couldn't do that, but they allowed it now where you could come on and, you know, Johnny got me $8 billion, and I'll be forever grateful. If I ever need an attorney again, I'll be sure to call Johnny again. And that's pretty much the way the script goes. You know, friend of mine told me to call Johnny, and you know, so I did. And Johnny came to visit me in the hospital. When all was said and done, Johnny got me $87 trillion, and I bought myself a continent of my own, and I'll be forever grateful for Johnny.
You know, incontinent.
Yeah. I watch these things. I don't know whether to laugh or scream at them, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's this one. He's got a former football star from back in the late 60s, early 70s that played for the Broncos, and his catchphrase was, "It's an all-pro move."
So, okay. The sad part is people fall for that stuff.
Yeah.
But
you know what? Some of my friends are lawyers, and not, you know, all of them are crooks, but they do have a crappy reputation. Sometimes I ask my friend, "What do you do about it?" He goes, "Well, it's part of the territory. You got some bad apples that make us look bad."
Yeah, but sometimes you need, you know, I mean, in my lifetime, I've had attorneys, I've needed attorneys, but and they did good things for me. But these are guys I had to pay. There was no contingency nonsense at all. These, you know, this stuff.
Well, and some of them are they're radio personalities here. You know, they've got their own radio show, and you know, like my friend Randy Corcoran, he's a conservative, so he's on one of the conservative stations, and that's what he does, and he's really good about it. Last week, we'll probably talk about it on Arts Place Sunday, that another lawyer who's been in the radio biz for years and years. Well, he got fired in the middle of his show last week because he started making comments about their competitor, and they just decided they had enough of that. And now his spiel is, "Oh, they fired me because I wouldn't toe the pro-Trump line." And he's a former Democrat who's gone to the right. Now he's gone to the left, and now he's on CNN and MSPBS. Yeah.
MSPM. What is somebody calls it? MSPMS?
Yeah, PMS NBC.
PMS NBC, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Rush calls them, I think.
Yeah, Rush does, yeah. Bob Casey, hey, how you doing, Bob? Good to see you. Yeah, I hate to get into too much politics here, but on your show, Art, you know, you may have noticed in the chat, I just, don't get me going.
Yeah,
we do have fun on that show. That's for sure.
Yeah, I may have lost a subscriber because I might have had one Democrat.
Elizabeth.
You know what? I'm sitting at 895, and I cannot get to 900. I don't know what the hell.
You gotta travel around, sir.
I don't know. I thought about going over to Canadian Drone Hub and grab, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I don't want to go out there. I want people to subscribe who are interested in what I'm doing, you know, and find me. I don't want to have to go out and find somebody and trade them.
Look at it this way. Now, I understand what you're saying, Mitch, and I'm not one to go to Boost or whatever and try and get supporters that will never come to my channel. Okay? If I don't see a a comment from them or whatever, I'll never know they were there.
Well, I've got a lot of. We've all got a lot of them. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like separating the wheat from the chaff, and you got to take in a lot of wheat, and there's always a lot of chaff to get rid of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, listen, guys. What are we going to do? My first anniversary is the 9th of next month. My first anniversary on YouTube. I published my first YouTube video on December the 9th.
Wonderful.
1 year ago.
Wonderful.
And I want to probably do I don't know what day of the week that is. Let me see. What day of the week is
It's
the 9th
probably
of December would be a
Monday or
Monday. All right. I'll probably what
said
time are
the
you
9th?
what time are you finished, Lloyd? At
I try to finish up by 8, but you know how long-winded I am.
all right,
Sometimes
that's
it's
8
15.
8 your time, 8
8 my
Central.
time. Yeah, it'd be
okay, so
9
that'd be
your
9.
time.
I'm gonna plan a birthday show for Monday the 9th at 9 p.m. and I expect, Lloyd, that you bring everybody that's in your show over to my show after yours is
we'll do
over.
a raid. We will do a raid.
Okay.
Send me a
Cool.
notice to the link because I'll pop in anyways because I want to be.
Oh, okay,
part of
that'd be
that.
great.
And
Yeah, same here.
The fact that I survived a year in this without getting disgusted, pissed off, and
well,
deleting it all is amazing to me.
Mitch, I was going to ask you because I saw some pictures of you somewhere, and last year you had a lot more hair. Is it because of YouTube?
Oh, I wish it were true. I wish it were true. But
You know,
I might have been wearing more hats back then.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah,
You know,
I
people
don't
think-
remember him having any more hair than he
No,
had.
I don't think so.
I just had to go
think
there.
so.
You know, people. The other night, Mel and I, we came on the show. Neither one of us had hats on. That's the first time. But see, I do have a head of hair. I
I know you do. Yeah.
But
Why would you cover it up?
it's just it's really a force of habit. I've been wearing a hat since, well, as long as I can remember. I mean, when I was growing up, especially when I moved over to Grand Junction, Colorado, I wore cowboy hats because work out in the field and you want something to keep you from getting sunburned, and when you're out bucking bales, and that's the most god awful job.
I didn't do much of that growing up in Northeast Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I did in Colorado, and there is no harder job, in my opinion, than picking up a 90-pound square hay bale and tossing it up 3 tiers up onto a trailer that's already 3 foot off the ground. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is hard work. That's the hardest job I ever had.
I'll just say this, that there's a couple things. First of all, Mitch, there's a saying that goes around. I'm sure it was made up by people that have very little hair, but they say only so many people have perfect heads. The rest of them cover them with hair.
That's right.
Or a hat.
Or grass doesn't grow on a busy street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, Greg from Oz by Drone is talking to him today. He's on a whirlwind tour of Australia this week. So he called me and I was giving him a hard time about, the follicle challenge that he has. He says, it's because our brains are so big, it
That's
just
it.
pushes all that hair follicles right on out.
I'm going to show you this view, my side view camera here, and you can see what I'm really working with. I mean,
You are like Walter.
I really have gotten bald all the way down to here now, and yet here's the amazing thing. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see what we're dealing with here. I'll be 73 my next birthday.
Wow.
And look at the color of my hair.
Yeah.
I know. And look at mine.
Yeah, I mean, I have just starting to get a little fringy gray down around the bottom.
Mine's. I've been gray. I started getting my first gray hairs when I was 16.
Not me, and my father did not actually get gray, or where you'd look at him and say, there's a gray-haired man, until he was 85 years old. So I guess
Well,
I inherited that.
my grandfather, he was 71 when he passed away, and he was just as black-headed as could be, and full head of hair on top of that. And
Wow.
yeah, so I got the full head of hair from my mom, but I also got the white hair from her because her mother was white-headed at a young age. She was white-headed at a young age, but they don't go pure white. They don't go snow white. They got this little bit of dark mixed in there, kind of gives it a silver look,
Yeah.
At least I'm not redheaded. It looked like rusty metal then.
But my father was bald. I'm bald. All my uncles were bald. I didn't stand a chance. They say your mother's uncles are where you get that from, and
Well,
every uncle I had was bald.
all of my cousins, including my older brother, are bald headed. But fortunately, I guess really fortunately, because I have a different mother than my brother, because he's from the first marriage, and they've all got polycystic kidney disease, and I've got good kidneys, thank God.
Oh,
and
that's good.
I also have a full head of hair where they don't.
So you're one of the people that really does have a brother from another mother.
I do, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's I used to look up to him as a kid because he's my older brother, and he was my hero and everything. Then I grew up and realized he's as much an ass as I am.
Oh, come on, Mike. Come on. So you guys want to see my little flight of that little short flight of my airplane? You want to see that?
Yeah.
All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to make me big, and we're going to go over to here.
There you go.
And then we're going to start playing it. And there's going to be no sound on it, but so you won't hear me complaining about it being tail heavy and all. But at any rate, I thought you'd like to see it. I was out there at the flying field. There was the only one out there. And it's got these tiny little wheels. If you're going to taxi on grass, you need bigger tires.
Yeah.
But it did okay, and it got plenty of power with those two motors.
No, it sounded good, Mitch. I love the sound of it.
Yeah, it worked fine. And of course, it's hard to see with the GoPro. Doesn't really have a zoom lens, but I do make a couple of flybys with the thing.
What size is that battery, by the way?
4,500 milliamp hours.
Oh, is that the one you were doing the build on here? Last week.
The twin engine thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I don't know. You guys seeing any airplane in all this? There it is. Yeah, there. See, when I looked down there, I was looking to make sure I was gonna put some up trim in it, but as it turned out, full up trim on the transmitter didn't move the elevator, not a stitch. But here it comes. It flew nicely. I mean, I just had to hold the up stick about halfway up, which is an unusual way to fly. But then I said, I'll just go ahead and land the thing. And it had plenty, because of all of the exponential in it, it had plenty of authority in the landing. I was able to grease it on with no trouble. So it has good potential. It looks kind of funny taxiing on grass. It looks like it's waddling around there. But worked out okay.
What's that modeled after, anyways?
God, I don't know what that. There might be some kind of a military-looking thing. I don't think
it's
got the color. It's got a Coast Guard-looking color.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It looked like one of those.
Well, I mean, it even says Sea Rescue on the side.
Well, they give you those decals because they they modeled it after Coast Guard. So, but that's our flying field right there, and it's a nice field. You got the pilot stations, and then each station's got a stand to put the airplane. Back from the old days when you had to fire up the gas engines,
Oh, God, I remember that day.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what I finally got in today for this thing was the replacement for the camera that I had to send back. So the next step is to put that on. I've got the here it is here. Whoops. that the Cadex Tarsier. It's that little. God, they got it in this. They really got it in the foam here. There we go. It's this with the the two cameras.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's got two cameras. One of them is the FPV camera. The other is a 4K 4K DVR that actually and it has these two little controller boards,
Right.
and you have an SD card in there, and it actually records 4K 30 through the second camera, and the first camera gives you the actual goggles image, so it doesn't have to. Yeah, so and then what's nice is because they sent me the version 2 of it because they ran out of the original version 1, and in the version 2 they made a bunch of improvements because of the faults of the version 1, which is what I had, and they also included a little 8 ND filter for those 2 little lenses with this too. So I ended up, even though I had to wait a while for it, I ended up on the better side of that bargain. So that's going to go in that airplane up in tilt and swivel. I also got in the mail the 180-degree servo for that. Most servos only move 90 degrees, so that'll let me look completely to the sides.
Oh, that'll be.
Yeah,
You'll get
so
some
I have
good
to
footage out of that.
you have to rework that, and it ought to fly pretty. It ought to fly pretty good. I as far as flying it manually like I did, I figured out why I wasn't getting the elevator I needed. But the next step, of course, is get it up there, get it up 300-400 feet up in the air, and start testing all the automatic modes and see if it holds its altitude, if it loiters, flies around in circles, returns to home, does all that good stuff, and then you have to adjust all that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could get the loiter and stuff going, that's where being able to toggle the camera around would be awesome.
Well, you can. It has a heading hold, position hold, altitude hold, and what these guys do in the videos I've seen of these binaries is they'll be out there cruising along, following some waypoints or just following a particular course, and then they'll swing the camera around and look to the left, and you can see the nacelle and the motor and the propeller running, and then you see all the landscape going by sideways. That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, that looks very cool.
Yeah, so
My
looking forward.
Robo Master has 360.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's got laser.
it's got lasers.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark from Centroid is
Yeah.
here.
Welcome, Mark.
Man, I haven't
And
seen Mark in a
from
while.
Social Media.
Ken, how you doing, Ken? Good to see you.
Yeah, I actually was on Mark's show. He's I don't know, day before yesterday. I can't remember. Well, it was actually the guy that he partners with on the news. Now my mind's gone blank. God, I hate getting old. Anyway, I watched his show yesterday. Yesterday, or the day before. Mark, put up whose show you were on yesterday or who you were with. But I was watching. They spent a lot of time talking about Gatwick
Okay.
for some reason. Aerial views in history. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, because he used to do the tinfoil hat thing with those
Right,
guys.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Brain fart.
Brain fart.
I
Yeah.
have them all the time.
Yes, sir. There it is.
Hey, what's all this I keep seeing on around? It says KFC is going after YouTube.
Who? Kentucky
KFC?
Fried Chicken?
It's the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC.
FTC.
Oh, okay.
And
Might as
look,
well be KFC.
Yeah.
all-
There's 10,000 unemployed comedians right now in this country.
Yeah.
You know that, don't you? Yeah.
Now
got
we-
all the YouTubers in uproar.
Yeah. I think
Take on it.
that half of the big thing they're making out of it is just clickbait for half of these guys. I believe.
Yeah.
You know, because
I'm looking at it this way, because if what I heard today is PewDiePie and Casey Neistat are quitting,
Nice that.
whatever, you know, he's a Yankee, who knows? Anyway,
Yeah.
Either way, if they're gone, that's more people for me.
he's been listen. Neistat's been quitting once a month ever since I first saw him. He's always talking about giving it up, and yet he never does.
Yeah. He moved to LA.
Moved to LA. Yeah.
He's only putting up like one video a month if if that much, you know, he might as well quit.
He used to do the you know, more drone stuff. And
Yeah.
that's why I started watching him.
Well,
I don't care
same
about
with me.
skateboards or any of that other
Well,
crap.
he just did. I think he just did the Mavic Mini.
He did but I can't watch another Mavic Mini review. I'm sorry, I just can't.
But here's the deal. I think he flew over traffic and people. And I'm like going, oh man, how come nobody is talking about it on all the drone channels?
You know, he's listen. There are some YouTubers that it's like there are some people that are above the law. They just break the law all the time, and everybody goes, oh, you know, that's just so and so. You know, like isn't it cute?
Yeah.
And as much as I love him, and I really do, Philly Mike breaks every law in the friggin' drone book. Every time he flies. But we go, oh, that's just Philly Mike, you know? I mean, how can you fly around the city of Philadelphia and not fly over somebody or a car?
Yeah.
You can't. You can say I'm flying over rooftops, but you know, you got to cross the street at a certain point.
Yeah. But he's not.
But you know what? More power to him. The FAA's come out to see him, and you know, I'm not condemning him in any way. I love his videos, and I hope he keeps doing it. But if I did what he's doing, I'd be in jail. I just know that. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
That's called Murphy's Law, Mitch.
Yeah. Coast to Coast Drone says Mavic Mini Mitch. Hi, Bill. Bill Thomas. How you doing?
Yeah. Talk about somebody who had a good show. Man, he had a guest on last night that was just unbelievable.
Who was it? I missed it last night.
It was one of the beta testers of the Skydio, and they answered straight up honest answers.
And what was the upshot? Do I still want mine, or do I want to give it?
No, I'd get one in a heartbeat.
Oh, okay.
I think you want one, Mitch.
I do want one. Okay, because I got one coming.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm in the first batch. I'm waiting. End of November, they said.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, it's almost the end of November now.
You think? Yes, it is. They said the end of November, first right around the turn of the month. They're supposed to send us emails, and Steve Carpenter's in the same group as me.
Same group.
We're like a couple hundred order numbers apart. But
I'm hoping to have him on my show. I think he's going to be on Ron Brown's first, and then I hope to have him the following week on my show. So,
well, I like Steve. You know, the two guys that have been just rock steady guys in this community from the time I was introduced to it are Steve Carpenter and Rick Halber. The two of those guys are just, you know, proud to say that I know them, even though I've never met them. And hopefully next year I will get out to spin up.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too.
And hopefully Rick will be healthy enough next year to get out there.
You realize I don't know if he hasn't said a lot about it, but you know, he's got cancer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Didn't want a big deal made about it. Don't know exactly how bad it is. He's going in for an MRI. They think the spot is small and they can get it, but it's something he's been dealing with. And just, you know, it's he let a couple of us know. He said, well, just don't make a big deal out of it. And I'm not, you know, I haven't brought it up, but, you know,
it's not a death sentence anymore.
No. I guess he went in to have the MRI and he couldn't do it because they were doing the full enclosed one. So they're going to have to schedule him for one's the open, what I call the open turret.
Well, I suppose I could call myself I'm a cancer survivor. I hate to use that word survivor,
Yeah.
but I had a malignant melanoma and skin cancer, and and survive. Got that in time, and it was a scary thing. They catch it. They do the biopsies. You get that phone call from the doctor who says you have malignant melanoma, and right away I'm calling funeral directors, because and I said, well, how bad is it? He said, well, we think we got it early enough, but I had a spot on my nose, and he says we need to remove that post haste. So I went in there and they took half of my nose, the top skin of my nose off. The margins were about a 1/4 inch all the way around that. It turned out to be the size of between a nickel and a quarter.
Right.
And they cut my shoulder here, took a big piece of skin out of my shoulder and grafted it onto my nose. And I walked around with this god awful bandage on for 6-8 weeks.
Right.
And it was a nightmare, but that was 3-4 years ago, and I go every 6 months back to the dermatologist, and they give me a good going over, check my lymph nodes, so they pretty well. But to think that something like that could kill you,
I know it
could kill you.
Puts a lot of this in reality.
Is scary, and this was nothing new. I had this spot on my nose for 20 years. And everybody, you need to get that looked at. I said, I have had it looked at. I have it looked at every time I get a physical. I've been to dermatologists, and they all told me that it was just hyperpigmentation, like a freckle.
Right.
But then it was brown, and then all of a sudden it started to turn dark.
Right.
And that's when they said, that's what you have to look for. You can have all kinds of marks all over you, but when they start getting perimeters around them, where they start changing colors,
right.
That's when you need to.
I had a mole on the back on my back, but just below my neck, and they, got just took the slice out of there and sent it to pathology, and it was B9. So
yeah, I had 11 of them things taken off my back at once. Let me tell you, that was painful.
yeah,
And but Judy, she has and you hear if it goes into the lymph node, well, it's all over. Or you hear if it metastasizes, it's all over.
Yeah.
It depends. My wife, her lung cancer was where it was at. We found it just pure by accident, but where it was at in her lung, and of course, lung cancer, it's all over. She's coming up. She just passed 7 years in remission, and she had a spot on her lung, but there was a lymph node right next to where it was at, and they were able to surround it with they use what's called CyberKnife, which is a pinpoint radiation, So
Ed's got to at least Ed's got to go.
Hey Ed.
Hey Ed, thanks for coming in, my friend. I didn't realize I was hogging the whole screen myself.
Well, you were hard.
Always good.
You're the host.
Always good. And one of these days, Ed, we need to hook up. We're only like a couple hours apart down here in Florida, so get together and fly. Meet somewhere in the middle, maybe around Daytona.
There you go. That's a good spot.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right, well, keep in touch, man. Good to see you.
People in the Daytona area, maybe we could hook up with them too.
Well, maybe we can try to put together our own little mini version of Spin Up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be a good
down
idea.
here in Florida. There's a lot of guys in Florida. You got old guys in Tampa. You got Dan, and you got and Bill, the drone reviewer, and you know how much he enjoys spending time with Dan.
Ken Dono.
Ken Dono's here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would be a party for sure.
All right, my friend.
Ed, good to
See you, Ed.
Take care. Hey, Lloyd, I wanted to show you a picture of this thing that I had on my nose. I just dug up a picture. This picture is probably 10 years ago. Okay. And that spot on my nose, I lived with that spot for 20 years. People used to call me Spot. I mean, that was my nickname.
Yeah.
And it never changed. It never did anything. And people, you need to get that looked at. I said, yeah, I've had it looked at. Turns out, turned into malignant, turned into cancer.
Well, that's the thing. They can turn into it, but like with my wife, they got the spot, and they put these little gold, they look like pencil leads. They put about 4 of them around the cancer spot, and the lymph node, which is right next to it, hit it with high-powered radiation. She had no side effects from it because she only had to take 4 treatments, but it was so high-powered, and they did it for an hour and a half at a time. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, but it was very effective. She had no side effects. By the time they got, it's like I said, it's like a microwave. When it says to leave in for another, leave in for another minute till it's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they did. They cooked her, and then they waited 8 weeks while it finished cooking. And then they went back in and did the scan. And of course, by then it had metastasized and gone to her adrenal gland. But they went in and they hit it with 5 doses of high-powered radiation, and she came out of it. It's been 7 years now. So, other than this last scare that we were worried about, it turned out it was pneumonia. So, yeah.
Well, that's good. I let me say hi to 616 Drones, and I don't know if I ever said hi on the air to Jay Santiago, but how you doing, my friends? Both of you, welcome, and RC, I can't. Rojo Droner. That's must have been here before because he's blue. Is it? No, Rojo, Rojo.
Well, I know, but
everyone, and how you doing? And that's good. Had a nice turnout tonight. I've been running in the 20 viewer range, which is.
I wish my show would get that, but it'll get there.
Yeah.
My show is on.
You mean the Sunday show?
No, the Art Co.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good show this last Saturday.
Yeah, last Saturday. You're getting. I'm watching you. I watch your deals. You get. What happens is that Spike comes on the same time you do. Yeah. So what and I usually have fun going on Spike. That's one of the few shows I actually go on. Now I'll go on anywhere that somebody actually invites me. Right. I don't know if they think. They don't invite me. Nobody, even like Rodney Bellin Saturday morning. I know that if I said, "Hey, Rodney, send me a link," he'd do it. I've been on a show a couple of times. Right. But I'm funny about that. I don't ask to be invited. Somebody wants me, say, I'm not a snob. Yeah. I'll go on anybody's show. And Spike asks me every Saturday. Sends me the link.
Yep.
And I'm happy to go on. I enjoy it.
Speaking of that, next Monday, I will send you the link to Zoom, and I'm going to bring you in on Zoom, and you're going to be my guest because you're getting ready to celebrate the beginning of your 2nd year, and I will be celebrating the beginning of my 3rd year.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'll do Monday with you. That'd be great.
This next week I'm going to have Mel on there, and I may bring in a few others on and off. But I want to have you because a week and a half after I have mine, you're going to have yours.
Yeah.
And
so the 9th.
The 9th, and mine is next Monday is going to be the first. It's going to actually be the end of season 2, but the beginning of season 3. So we're sort of mixing them together. So. Because I did my first Grumpy Vlogger video on the week before Thanksgiving, when I did that. I did the first Grumpy Vlogger thing about that mouse that was in my China hutch, and it's been history. It's been downhill history ever since.
Here's my my first video that I ever published on December the 9th, 2018. And here, let me make that bigger. And it was, there I am in the and this is what we were flying. This was 2009, I think, 10 years ago. And we were flying, we were there were no drones. There was no such thing as a quadcopter yet, and
Right.
we were trying to do aerial photography. And I still have that rig. I still have that helicopter and that stabilized camera mount, which is archaic, and the footage was terrible from it, and it was there was no autopilots, no stabilization. You had to fly that friggin' thing, and that was about as good as you'd get. See that shaky video?
Yeah.
And that was and it took two people to do it. There's me. I don't know if you can see me there. I'm standing there flying the camera in the white shorts. That's me.
Right.
I'm actually working the camera, and like they do it with a Inspire. And
Right.
My buddy was flying the helicopter. Now I still have that big helicopter, and I'm seriously thinking about putting a flight controller in it and iNav, and it's just for the fun of flying it. It's huge.
Right.
It's a huge helicopter, and it has the that was retractable landing. You see those things with the green?
Right. Yeah.
Well, they actually came down to land. You'll see.
Oh, okay,
And
cool.
let me see if I can make this bigger so you guys can actually see what's going on here. There it is.
There you go.
But that was a Sony video camera in that mount underneath there.
Oh, okay.
And that whole rig back when it was about $6,000 worth of equipment. And there I am with my skinny legs. Not much has changed. But see how the gear came down so you could
Right.
land it.
Oh, that is cool.
And that was it used two 6S 6,000 milliamp batteries in series, so it was running on a 12S,
Wow.
and it was built out of servos and helicopter gyros and all kinds of weird stuff to try to do that. And
Florida Sky Can
that was it. Florida Sky was the name. I had a company all set up, and then the FAA shut me down before we even got started. I mean, we hadn't even gotten started when the FAA came and basically said, you can't do that. You need to, it's not a hobby anymore. You need, this is long before Part 107. What they told me I had to do was I had to actually build that helicopter as a experimental aircraft, get an N number, like a real air. It had to be a
right.
and
Yeah.
of course I'm a pilot, and I had, and so I was okay to fly it. But you had to be a pilot flying a registered airplane to do that back in those days, and it wasn't worth it. So
Yeah.
I said, well, I like this. It's it was fun, but this is still my hobby. We'll just do this as a hobby. But I still have that helicopter here in the closet, and I was thinking about it. That was like a $3,000 helicopter. I was thinking it would with the technology they have these days, I could take a regular drone style flight controller, or the same flight controller that I'm using in my my little twin engine airplane, and put that thing on there and completely stabilize that helicopter so it'll hover, stay in place, automatically land, do everything. And I think that'd be a fun project to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, Lloyd. I interrupted you right in the middle of a story you were telling.
I have no clue what I was talking about now, so that's okay.
I knew you'd forget, but
everybody, when I'm on, you just have to interrupt me because sometimes I get to run in my mouth and I forget that it's not my show.
That's okay. No problem. Listen, I love having you guys on here. You kidding? If I have to, some guys like to go on there by themselves, and like Jim Wallace.
Yeah,
I mean, he just does 3-hour live streams with no guests with the emu, and somehow he keeps talking about something. I would run out of what to talk about real quick.
Yeah, I really do have to have a co-host because, Art and I have worked together, and I need somebody to bounce ideas off of,
right,
or somebody to pick up the slack when I just kind of glaze over and like, what the hell was I just talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, I see Paul's here, drone bum. Hey,
Yeah.
God, I need to really pay more attention to you guys. You know, you honor me by coming into my stream and
That's
my show and say hi in the chat, and I don't read it.
Where's Carlos? I haven't seen him in a while.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking about Carlos seems like he has disappeared
yeah, yeah.
for some reason.
I haven't seen him in anything in a while.
No,
Yeah.
but here's somebody that we have seen.
There is Mr. Brandt.
How you doing?
Hey,
Gary.
how you doing?
You've been pushing all the buttons tonight. You talked about lawyers. You talked about cancer. I've been through the worst of the worst on both of those fronts.
So your lawyer had cancer, huh? That's
Well, I'll tell you.
Or he's a cancer lawyer.
yeah.
This is a quick one about a lawyer. I was in court. I had gone to court because my ex-wife owed me $800.
Well, there's a switch.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You know.
How did you work that one?
Well, she broke into the house and took a bunch of furniture.
Oh,
So my lawyer went to court and she was ordered to pay $800. So I went to court a year later and I said, you know, I'd like my $800. Here's the court order. And the judge said, you're going to take $800 from the mother of your child?
oh.
And I said, well, you ordered it. The court ordered it. And he says, well, here's the thing. He says, you come into this court without a lawyer and you want me to give you $800. I said, well, you said I was owed that. So, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to dismiss the case. You don't get the $800. I'm going to charge you $800 in her court fees. What do you think of that? Oh, I was kind of stunned. I said, well, what do I think of that? I think that I came here without a lawyer because lawyers are crooks, and the worst crooks become judges.
Yeah. Did you really say that?
And he said, I find
And how was the food in jail?
Well, he said, I find you in contempt of court. Bailiff, get the handcuffs.
Yeah.
The
Really?
bailiff's walking up to me, and a lawyer at the back said, excuse me, Your Honor, I'd like to speak on Mr. Foster's behalf. He said, go ahead. Good luck. He said, well, you asked him what he thought. And had he said anything different than what he thought, then he might have been in contempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have been perjuring yourself.
The judge said, fair enough.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Did
He
you?
said, get out of my
But,
court.
but the bottom line is you never got the $800.
No,
No.
but I never had to pay it either.
Well,
I went to the
when
lawyer.
you started this story, Gary, I said to myself, the odds of him ever having got that $800 are 1,000,000,000 to 1. But let's hear the story. Yeah.
When I walked out, as I was walking out, I said to the lawyer, I said, what do I owe you? He said, nothing.
He probably didn't like the judge.
He probably didn't. He probably had another case before the judge.
Yeah.
Now, another time I was in court for a speeding ticket. The guy ahead of me had one of these rent-a-cops, right? And the cop went up to the judge over the speeding ticket, and he said to the cop who was a witness, he said, where did you learn to run that radar unit? He said, oh, at the police college. And he goes, really? That's good. He said, have you ever seen the operator's manual for that radar unit? And the cop said, no. So you testified that you calibrated that with a tuning fork at arm's length. Is that correct? And the cop said, yeah. He said, well, if I was to tell you that the operator's manual for that unit had to be tuned at 6 feet, could you confirm or deny that, having not seen the owner's manual? He said, no. He said, well, how was that radar unit connected electrically? He said, well, it was plugged into the cigarette lighter. So if I was to tell you that unit had to be connected directly to the battery without a fuse, could you confirm or deny that? And
That's funny.
the cop said no. And the cop said, case dismissed, out you go. Next up, Mr. Foster. I went, okay, Does anybody know how to run that radar? The cop said, the judge says, I got your point. Case dismissed.
Yeah.
It helped to have a rent-a-cop ahead of me. So
Yeah. It's always nice when they actually know how stuff works, or at least know how it. Yeah.
Well, they knew how to defend it, right?
Exactly.
But you don't even have to know. All you have to do is act like you know.
Yeah.
And the operative words in that is always, what if I told you? Now, when you say to somebody, what if I told you? What you say after that doesn't have to be the truth or resemble the truth, because after a statement like, what if I told you that your next door neighbor was really a Martian? And, you know, and people will trap themselves when you put things to them. They'll admit things, you know.
Yeah.
If you make a good guess, you know, what if I told you we found the missing bank robbery money in your bedroom? Oh no.
My dad used to say, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, just baffle them with bullshit.
That's true. That's true.
I have been baffling people for years.
That's how we survived on YouTube this long.
Exactly. That's how we made it through. God, I'm starting my third year. Oh my God.
That's hard to imagine.
I know.
You know what? I just looked at my arts place. That was my original YouTube channel. 2007.
Wow. Well, you know, I had a YouTube channel for this Florida Skycam back in the late 2000s, and it's probably still there. I haven't looked at it or done anything with it for all these years.
Hey, you might be monetized.
Let me see.
That would be hilarious.
Probably have over 1,000,
10,000 subscribers, and he didn't know it.
And you probably have 1 million watch hours.
1 million watch hours. No, it's not. It's not there. Maybe it's 3 words. Hold on a second. But I had a YouTube channel for my cigar company. EarthCam Live, Hurricane Dorian. No, Live Florida Beach Camp. No, I guess it. I deleted it back then, but.
But the Art Co channel that started in April of 18.
Yeah.
So becoming on 2 years.
I actually started my channel in 2009, but I put up 5 videos, 6 maybe, and that was it. But I really didn't do the grumpy vlogger thing until the week before Thanksgiving. I was getting ready for Thanksgiving. I had this mouse looking at me. Anyways, it's the video's there, and I called him the Christmas mouse because we were getting ready for Christmas, and it's that year Hallmark they were running this commercial that was some guy dressed in a giant rat outfit, leaving rat turds in the kitchen. I mean, we're talking human size ones, like big, and or call decon or go by decon. I'm like, man, we're 1 minute they're showing advertisements for turkey, butterball turkeys. The next thing is showing human-sized rat turds. Really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I wrote them. I wrote the decon and said, you guys are above this, man. That's just trashy commercials. You got a good product, but you don't have to dumb it down or trash it down to sell it.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, that was the last time I saw those commercials. They took them off that week. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one who wrote them, but it was the end of the commercial, and they haven't played it since. So
there you
It can
go.
make a difference. That's for sure.
You started a trend, Lloyd.
Yeah. I don't know. They've probably got a bunch of complaints about it. And the thing was, they were playing it on the Hallmark channel, and this is when the Hallmark was doing their whole Christmas,
Yeah.
and candy canes and hot chocolate. And
Look at
human-sized
this
rat
beautiful
turds.
turkey and rat turds all over the
Yeah.
place.
I mean, we're talking they were the size of a football. You know, it's just gross. It's like some guy that, well, he looks like me when I don't shave, wearing a rat outfit, hiding in somebody's closet. Like, oh man, that was just a twisted commercial. It still gives me nightmares. But yeah,
And I'm looking here. I at my old. I never did anything with it. When we went into the cigar business here, I made a few videos about the cigar factories and put a YouTube channel up there. You know, I never did anything. I never operated it as a YouTube channel. It was just a place to put a video and give people an address. So I'm looking at my cigar channel video right now, and here it is. It's Silvio Palomino Cigars, and I'm looking at this video here. It's got 5,427 views.
Jesus, I haven't got 5,000 views on anything.
5,427 views of a video of us.
And
of
you
us.
got 5 thumbs down.
Yeah, but I got 42 thumbs up. But I mean, here, look, this was just driving. I mean, I can maybe make some sound that you guys can hear through the microphone here. Hold on a second. You hear it? Hear the motorcycle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we did this particular day was we left our cigar factory in a little town of Conca de Piedro, right outside of Tamboril, near Santiago in the Dominican Republic. And you take your life in your hands when you ride with somebody. And I'm riding in the back seat here. And I just thought it was fabulous to see these people just coming right at you, and they veer over and get out of your way at the last minute. And I didn't understand a word of what these guys were. So we went to this place and ate like kings. We had, I mean, a huge meal and drinks and everything. And as I put on there, the bill was $23
Wow.
for all of us.
Wow.
It was incredible. Yeah, I mean, there I am. Look at me.
Wow, you look the same. Same hair.
Yeah, that was, you could smoke and eat. We're driving down the road and this truck full of eggs is in front of us, and the streets are bouncing and the eggs are rocking back and forth. And
That is actually a cool video.
it was shot with the same video camera that I use on my table, you know, my overhead camera, that little Sony Handycam.
Right?
Did a
Car
nice
and Tony
job.
has a Green Bay Packers sticker in the window.
That's their Central Park.
Ah, there you go. You know, in the Philippines, the only thing missing are the jeepney and the trike.
Now this is the box factory where they made the boxes for our cigars. And all of these dies that were stamped, I designed on my computer all of the graphics, the rings, the box graphics. We had all the tooling made, and this is how they make cigar boxes in a box factory in the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
You talk about a fire trap. But you see the gold. See those dies? You know, we had to have them made to stamp the lids.
Yeah. Now, do they heat that dye and burn it in?
No, they use it. They generally use it with a black ink. They'll ink it. In fact, you'll see right here they use a printing press, and those boxes are all assembled by hand. They're all hand glued. And to show you how the labor costs are down there, we paid, I think, $2 or $3 a box for the cigar boxes. Custom made with all the printing and everything on them.
That's an old Heidelberg press.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're putting on each one. You know, we had 100 different kinds of cigars, different shapes, different wrappers, different lengths, and each one had to have its own stamp for the front of the box to say what was in the box. So we had like like that one said 25 Churchill 7x50 Connecticut's. Well, we had to have the different things for all the different boxes. So then we're walking down the main street in Tamboril, and these people just invited us. We didn't even know them. They invited us in for a drink.
These guys have got me drinking Chevis Regal and coconut water.
Did you hear that? Chevis and coconut water.
Wow.
Yep.
You even had the white part back then.
It wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. See, and I can show this video with no copyright worries whatsoever.
Right.
And anyway, so it just goes on. But
That's
I mean,
an
this
awesome
is
video.
It was fun. It was, but I looked at it at over 5,000 views. I couldn't believe it. That's my partner Silvio, the bald-headed guy.
You should move that to your regular channel, Mitch.
Your partner looks like Henry Waxman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'd like to have is one of those cigar boxes.
Oh, you know how many of those things I've thrown away?
Oh man, I'd love
I
to
have
have
a
one.
few of them around, but I use them to keep screws and parts and pieces and things for the hobby.
You know what I want them for? I want to make a guitar out of them.
Oh,
Three-string. Oh God, yeah. You
That'd
can
be
make a
interesting.
three-string guitar out of cigar boxes.
Oh, I've seen.
And-
You know, I've seen
yeah.
guys do that. Yeah, they put a handle on it,
Yeah,
and
you can make them
yeah.
electric, and it's an open G chord, and you just use a steel slide or a glass bottle slide, and you can get all the twang in there. You can just they're just unbelievable.
Yep.
Well,
They've
anyway,
got-
if you guys want to see my cigar company videos, it's Silvio Palomino Cigars. Not hard to find. Not many other names come close to that.
Yeah.
How many subscribers on that channel?
33.
And they've watched 5,000 times.
Well, people didn't subscribe, but we got the total views on the channel for the 3 videos were close to 12,000 views, 11,000 some odd views, I think.
Wow.
And it's like Bob Casey says, people like to watch other cultures, you know. But
One of the videos is about a tour of making the cigars in the factory.
yeah,
The other one is a shopping day where we went out to buy the wrappers and the tobacco, and you know, to actually make the cigars in these huge warehouses. You know, the cigar business is like anything else. It's 99% hype and bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, these companies advertise, you know, like Juan Valdez growing coffee. You know, I got news for you. Juan Valdez isn't down there
No.
picking coffee beans off the trees. You know,
Right.
they've got huge agriculture equipment, big warehouses, you know, forklifts, and you know, I mean, it's and the same thing with the tobacco business. These companies all claim that they grow their own and especially, you know, like they try to appeal to the wine connoisseur snobbery of saying the microclimate and special soils, when in reality they all go to the Sam's Club of tobacco suppliers, you know, with a warehouse the size of indoor football fields with
Right.
100-pound bales of tobacco stacked to the ceiling. And
You know, they bought the leaded stuff from China.
well, I don't know about that's one place that not getting tobacco from is China, but
Yeah.
but
That's the only thing.
you have to, you know, and you get what you pay for. You can get
Yeah.
very expensive tobaccos in these places, or you can get, you know, the stuff they swept up off the floor. And
Hang on just a second, guys. I'm going to have to. I think my wife's calling here.
oh, take care of that. But it was an interesting business. There was no money in it, unfortunately. And then of course,
It all went up in smoke.
yes. Wait a minute.
It was. Well, I've been hanging out with Ken here, and that's why.
Yeah. Oh, Ken got 100,000
Yeah, how
subscribers.
about that? I
And you know what? If I had hair like him, I'd get 100,000 subscribers
Yeah.
too.
Mhm. Oh, well, you're not on Facebook, but
No.
Ken sent me.
Okay, I got to run, Mitch, and
Lloyd,
didn't mean to
thanks.
interrupt you. Hey,
No, listen, thanks for coming. Always great to see you, man. You know,
oh
you're
yeah,
you're you're
I enjoy
somebody
it.
that's a little closer to my age than I still think you're older than me and you're lying, but you know, what the hell.
Us old folks got to stick together.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys. Hey,
Take
thanks
care.
everybody. You
All
take
right,
care.
Lloyd.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
Right,
Bye-bye.
Lloyd.
See you, Gary. See you,
See
Art.
you Monday night.
Monday night. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
you got
All right.
it.
Later.
Jim
Well-
from Above and Beyond Drones has joined us, and Bob Casey, and
Oh, hey, Jim, how are you?
Philip says
Oh,
Jerry.
Jerry, yeah. All the people, you know, they say, well, we got 15 minutes till Ken Hearn. Where can we slum? Where can we hang out?
Yeah, we're kind of, you know, the Admiral Lounge, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the airport. Yeah.
At the airport, yeah.
I'd serve drinks to you guys if there was a way to do it, you know.
But anyway, Ken made a really cool video with the Ken doll that I gave him. And it's in the theme of Saturday Night Fever.
Is this public? Did he publish this or is it not published
he
yet?
sent it to me. I put it on my Facebook.
Oh,
page.
okay.
He said it was okay, but I'd have to change the music because you know, I don't want to get copyright strike on it. But yeah, he took his cell phone and he had the lights, you know, like on the lighted dance floor and Saturday Night Fever, and he had the Ken doll dancing around. And it was so sweet and cool, you know. So
That's terrific. I'm happy for him. He got his 100. He's got his 100,000. I will never. I don't even aspire to work that hard at this.
Yeah, I mean, for him, it's a lot of work. But,
well, he's still a young man. He's got a lot of years to go till retirement, and if I was his age, if I was in my early 50s, I might really try to turn this into a business, you know?
Yeah, he goes to work in the morning for a couple hours, and then you got the rest of the day off.
He puts a lot of work into it, and he does have some talent. You know, he's got a talent.
he does.
Oh, he is a talented guy, no doubt about it. He's a tremendous producer. I mean, when he always has the music right there. He has the sound effects, you know. Yeah. Not like me. With me, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm down typing. You know, he's got all that stuff like a concert pianist.
Well, you know, being in the radio business, he knows all of that stuff, and you know, for some extent, you know, I was the same way with my comedy, where and that's a lot of work, you know, writing material and editing video. So you have your promo videos to send out to comedy clubs and managers to try to get more work, and then you realize you're not the funny man you think you are, because there are thousands of other comedians. You're competing for work out there, so you got to make yourself, you know, the most unique, most memorable to get yourself some work.
Yeah,
and it's all. We're at a disadvantage anyway because the drone community is not what you'd call a mainstream interest. Football is a mainstream interest. Politics is hot-looking young girls in bikinis is a mainstream interest. People doing stupid things gets tons of views.
Well, you know, if you crash a drone, People
those,
want to see that disaster.
yeah, the crash videos and RC, even RC is bigger than drones. The radio controlled airplanes, and there's a lot of guys that put out these crash videos. They get millions of views, and the bigger and more expensive the airplane you crash, the more views you get. But but we're at a disadvantage. We've got a community of just so many people.
Yeah.
And I, the young teenage girls are not looking for channels like my channel or your channel, Art.
We're not popular.
No.
Interesting you say that, though, Mitch. My grandkids subscribed to my channels, and they all got notifications when a video came out.
Well, they subscribe to you, don't they?
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Now with this new regulation, I put my channel as adult content.
Yeah.
They unsubscribed them.
It unsubscribed them, did it?
Yeah.
As adult content or not for children, because there's a difference.
Not made for children.
Not made. I must not have any children subscribers, because I didn't lose any subscribers when I clicked that thing.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? Dan lost a lot of revenue from that.
Really?
Yep.
See, I've never made any revenue from YouTube, so I wouldn't know what it's like.
Well, I haven't yet. I'm over 1,000 right now. Now I'm working on the
watch hours. Well, you got to do these. You got to do these live streams. You know what really helped me is I had that one video that I made way back on how to build a GoPro vlogging rig, and it got 21,000 views.
Wow! Cool.
And I would say that my total channel has like 45,000 views. So that one lousy video is responsible for almost half the views.
Well, now that I've got my RoboMaster done, I've got so many ideas in my head. And I'm looking at the videos on YouTube. All the RoboMaster videos are how to build it and product reviews. That's it. I don't see any videos on what people are doing with their RoboMaster.
I haven't seen very many at all. I see Jim is got a comment in there. YouTube is not capitalized for children 13 years of age and younger. Their terms of service says. So if I understand what Jim is saying, is that somewhere in the YouTube terms of service, nothing on YouTube is for children 13 years or younger. Is that correct, Jim?
Wow. So no more Baby Shark. Baby Shark.
There's tons of kids stuff. But now they have YouTube for kids. That's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
tagged some of mine as family friendly. Tons of ponds or marshy pond or nature up the river or something. And.
Well, I mean, children can be interested in adult things too. But this thing doesn't. My content, is definitely not for kids. I don't want anything to do with kids. I raised my kids.
Well,
they're raising their kids. I'm done with kids.
I've always posted my videos knowing that my kids and my grandkids are going to be watching it.
Right.
So it's innocent.
It is a legacy. I thought about that too, Gary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting to think that long after we're gone,
which could be next week.
It could be, but I mean, think about that. Imagine. I think about this all the time. If my father had done what I'm doing, I could go back and it's kind of like home movies, but we never made home movies like the stuff we produce these days. We just pointed the camera at shit and wave, hi, how are you?
Yeah. If my grandfather were alive now, he'd be into the YouTube stuff. He'd be telling me how to do it and say, oh, I know people and they could get you 1 million hits. That's just the way he was. You know,
I need 105 subscribers to get to my 1,000. That's it. 105.
I need 120.
120. But I've got the watch hours.
Well, wow, that's great.
100.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Mitch.
Jim.
I'm glad you're in here, man. I thought we got like 5 minutes to go, but
I know.
I didn't want to leave you sitting in the green room. So sorry to interrupt you, other guys. How you doing, buddy?
I'm sorry. I was out filming and I got in late. And
No, that's okay.
Here's the thing, guys. Something like this, right? This is the size. I mean, let me just put a cell phone next to
Yeah, I
it.
saw your video with that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Here's a cell phone.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that is.
how is this not for children? You know what I mean?
Well, it costs $500. That's why.
Well, you know, mommy and daddy buy
Yeah.
them cell phones and everything else.
Oh, so you're saying that your video is for children because it's got an underwater drone?
Why wouldn't it be? It's like RC boats.
But
you
you're
know?
not doing anything in your video. You're not using foul language or anything that would be offensive to children, are you?
No, but they are. No, of course not. You know
Okay,
that.
so you know what? There's nothing to worry. I would imagine there'd be nothing to worry about.
Here's the problem I have and you have. YouTube, by getting fined 170 million by the Federal Trade Commission, the Federal Trade Commission flat out said, if you watch their video, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
I saw that. We talked about that last
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
So YouTube turned around and is cutting the revenue to people. Let's say you did go, and your channel was making money. They're cutting the revenue you make, which is they're not cutting the amount they're charging the advertisers, but they're cutting the amount that you make, and it's going to pay the fine. It's business.
$170 million to Google
To Google.
is like a $5 bill to you and me.
Yeah. Well, gotta go.
Art, thanks again. Always good to see you, and you're like an alarm clock for me. I mean, I know when it's time to shut down.
All right, I just wanted to jump in and
Oh no,
make that
hey, I
thought.
wanted to talk to you too, because so don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you as I say goodbye to Art. So Art, take it easy, buddy, and I'll be watching in the Ken Heron's chat room, smoking a cigar out on the patio. But I don't get involved in that because it goes by so fast. And anyway, so we'll see you next week. Okay.
See you next week.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye. So Jim, why didn't you ever tell me about this Palm Bay Regional Park right down there?
Oh, it's a ridiculous thing. They got half the buildings are closed, and you got
No, but to
sign up
fly FPV drones and model airplanes, it's fabulous.
Yeah,
you
you
know-
can do that because the soccer fields are usually soaking wet. Listen, did you see the new thing that they're doing? They're going to fill in the swampland here and build something called Emerald City.
Oh, you mean where the compound is?
Yeah. I'm so disgusted. Out by the new exit that I've been filming.
Oh yeah, the exit. Yeah.
They're going to fill in the swampland, literally. You know, Gary said just yesterday
Gary's got eyeballs.
he was too ugly for YouTube, and where is he?
No, I got a face for radio.
Face for radio. Yeah, you and me both, brother. Well, anyway, Jim, I was down there this morning. I flew a little bit down at the park. It's only 10. It's like 10 minutes from me. I just go right on 192, get on that new road they built, and I'm right there. You get to Malabar, and it's right there on the corner. So it's my model airplane club flying field is like 25 miles, and it's only like 10 miles down there. So watch him one of these days. I want to call you, and maybe you meet me out there.
Yeah,
I'll fly some FPV. You can maybe try to get some footage of. We'll go do some. Maybe I'll bring that little airplane out there, and we can follow it around with a drone or something, and get some good footage of it in the air.
Does that behave like FPV?
The airplane?
Yeah.
Well, it flies like a model airplane, but it does have FPV camera in it, and you can fly it through the goggles, or you can fly it line of sight. Either way.
I'll let you put it up in the air, and then maybe I'll see if I can play with the controls.
Oh, have you ever fly RC airplanes?
No.
Oh, then you'd probably crash it.
That's That's why I asked.
Yeah. RC airplanes, flying, I've learned this, flying through goggles is a whole different ball game. Even if it's the same airplane, it's a whole different experience flying it line of sight, like the traditional RC guys stand on the flight line and you watch the airplane. You fly it, as opposed to being in the airplane in the goggles. It's a whole. It took me by surprise. I thought it would be easier than it was with the drones, but it's taken quite a bit of practice to be able to fly these FPV drones around confidently now and not worry about crashing them or hitting anything. It's taken a lot of work, but we need to get together. And that would be a good place, or even down at the compound. That'd be a good place to fly the airplane because they got all these streets, which are like runways, I could take off.
There's a club. There's a club that meets up there on Saturday mornings, sometimes Sundays too. And a couple of them have those big helicopters.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gas. Yeah,
the gas. Yeah, they're good. Well, we'll have to do that. I'll give you a call one day soon, and we'll go up there and take some pictures and
might as
fly
well
some
before
shit.
they build it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's time to say goodnight, everybody. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Drone Life RC came in. How you doing? Drone Shots still here. Bob, Casey, Ken, Cardosa. Who else? Cardosa, Ken, Bob, Casey, Jim, Casey, Cardosa. 616 Drones. I think he left, but thanks to Lloyd and Art for coming in and spending some time with me. Tommaso Sullivan, always good to see you. Jay Santiago, Jerry Calvary. I'm sure they're all over at Ken's place by now.
I wonder how this is going to affect Jerry and his kids.
Yeah, I saw that you were talking to him about that. Look, it'll all settle down. I think half or 90% of the hoorah about this right now is all of these clickbaiter guys trying to get the watch time on their video by trying to scare you more than the next guy scaring you. I found most of these things, they get way overblown. YouTube, they're not going away.
They're just covering their butt, right?
Right. This will pass, and until the next thing, and that things change in this world. There's no stability in anything. So who knows where we'll be next year. Anyway, on that cheery note, Gary, thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it. And adios, right?
There you go.
That's a Ken Heron thing, bye.
That's right.
I gotta come up with my own thing.
Okay.
All right.
Take the rest of the day off.
Take the rest of the day off. Go play with your drones. That's my deal. See you, Gary.
Very good. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And Jim, we'll see you. I'll catch up with you. We should have some good weather coming up here in the next couple weeks.
Did you fly over the soccer field area, or where did you go?
Yeah, where? Yeah, on the it would be the south side.
Yeah,
the first side.
Soccer field area.
It was dry. It's fine. It's beautiful there now. Grass is cut. It's wide open. I was the only one there. It's like
way underused.
Yeah, terrific place. And there's a couple of guys that fly RC there, and they really they said nobody bothers them. Even the lawn guys, if they see the RC guys, they go mow somewhere else. So until they throw us out of there, that's a great place to fly.
But you're right. Most of the guys like the roads over down.
Yeah, you have runways. Runways. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, I'll give you a call. Okay, buddy.
We'll
Take care.
Later.
Thanks for coming in, Jim. And that leaves just me, and of course Spank. So what I'm going to do, like I always do, for the few people that haven't bailed out yet, I'm going to turn up my music. And once again, thanks everybody who's left for coming in and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it, and makes me happy. So without further ado, you guys take the rest of the day off, go play with your drones, and we'll see you next time. And I'm going to turn it back over to my buddy Spank, the monkey, and let him say goodnight. Bye.